What it do, what it do. Welcome to another one over here, Game Chopping TV. Tap in, like, comment, and subscribe, because we chopping this game over here, man. Man, I had to tap into this one, man. This has been going on, actually, since, I think, since about 2 days. I heard about this about 2 days ago. I hadn't really looked much into it, but it's getting more and more, you know, not pushed among us, but I'm seeing it more and more. And people talking about it, because at first I didn't. I just I just thought it was a teen stabbing or something like that attracted me. I wasn't for sure of what all had happened and everything. But now I see why I'm seeing it so much now. You know what I'm saying? And this is basically what it is that. So it was a black guy who had to, who protected himself and unalived, an aggressor, basically, the Austin McAfee guy, and then this guy's name right here, he's Karmello Anthony. So this is the other guy right here, that Austin guy who, got unalived at the track meet, and there's a story behind it. But now I see, because I was like, what's going on? And what brought it to my attention, I started seeing white people posting, like, on TikTok, talking about why no outrage and no rioting, no looting, and all that old stuff. And I'm like, wait. So now I see what's going on. And, of course, I had to look more into it to, get a little background information. And so now I kind of see what, this is all about, and it's crazy. But, you know what I'm saying? How it is with white people when stuff happens. Now, if it happens to them, they make it very easy, plain and simple. Hey, it was self-defense. I felt threatened. I reacted. That's how it goes. But then when it comes to black people, when we try to use that same, law, especially if it pertains to having to protect themselves from a white person, they get to move in the goalposts. They get to changing things around. Oh, it happened. And and what I'm looking at right here on the side. Well, so this is what happened. Let's talk about it. So this is what happened first. Okay. So it was a tracking event going on, and I guess the two different teams have their own tents on their sides or something like that. And supposedly a bunch, it started raining. And I guess, people were taking cover, getting under whatever they could get under to, not get rained on. Supposedly, this guy right here, not Anthony, but Karmello Anthony, he was sitting on the opposite team side under their tent, right? Which, in track meets and stuff like that, hey, that's not just so much of a big deal, where you're sitting necessarily like that. He was minding his own business, basically. He was under the other team's tent, yeah. But he was minding his own business. Nobody said nothing to him. Nobody was bothering him. He wasn't bothering nobody. The dude, Austin McAfee or whatever, him and his brother was together. So they're walking. I guess they see this guy sitting under the tent. And the guy, Austin, approaches him and tells him, hey, you have to get up. You can't be over here, blah, 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 blah. And I guess, they kind of had a little bit of, word exchange and stuff. And obviously the dude, Austin, was being pretty threatening about it. And so the dude, Anthony Karmello, he's just so happened to have a knife in his backpack or bag or something like that. And I think what it was is he was kind of clenching his bag, and he just like, I'm assuming that the dude, most likely, the guy, Austin, was telling him, hey, get up, or, or else type of attitude. And the dude, Karmello, was just like, man, touch me and see what happens. You know what I'm saying? So if he was already, basically, the dude, Austin, was already telling him he's going to do this or do something like that to get him up out the seat, which, so let's stop it right there. That's already unnecessary. Why are you so hell-bent on him not sitting in those seats right there? Like, if like this, why would you make it an altercation? If he's sitting there minding his own business anyway, why would you take it upon yourself to go over there And if he, okay, even if he isn't wanting to get up off of you requesting him to get up as a student, why wouldn't you leave that? Like, why you got to muscle him now? Why do you feel like it's, you know, the Austin guy and his brother, I believe they were both 2 football jocks and all that type of stuff too. So, you know, that adds, you know, of course they got size, weight to him and all that. But why, you know, like, why do you have to muscle this boy out of his seat? Even if he is sitting on the wrong side, why don't you tell the adults who's, you know, the coaches or something, why don't you tell somebody like, hey, you know, look at that guy right there, you know, he's sitting in, he's not supposed to be. Why, you know, let them make a big deal. Why are you making a big deal out of it? That's where I feel like race comes in for Austin, because you know how white people are. They always gotta, you know, try to correct a black person. They always, you know, always trying to make a black person do what they want them to do. And when they don't, then you see what, you know, they feel like they gotta put they feel like they can put their hands on you, I guess, or something. Or at least he felt like that. He must have felt that he could whoop Karmello. And so, you know, he was approaching him like that. You know, and so, like I say, the boy Karmello say, man, hey, you put your hands on me and see what happened. Like, why did he even have to go there? Why did he even, if the dude's sitting down under the tent and it's raining and all that, he ain't bothering nobody, hell. If none of the coaches and all this ain't saying nothing, why do you feel like you got to be the muscle, you know what I'm saying, to mess with this boy? And I heard that, hey, that dude didn't, that the dude Karmello and them, they didn't even run track. They not even on the track team, so why were you even pressing the issue that hard? But he did, you know what I'm saying? So he felt like he, you know, wanted to be big guy. You know, and they say yoked him up, grabbed him. Like, what are you doing grabbing on somebody? Who are you? He grabbed him. The boy Karmello had some kind of knife or something on him, hit him in the chest with it. Boom, hit, you know, and went in and went out. And after that, supposedly the dude, you know, collapsed or whatever, fell over into his brother's arms while he was passing away, and they was trying to get help and stuff. So what happens is, you know, the boy Karmello, he ran away from the scene right then and there. But once the police came, he didn't run. He, you know, let them arrest him and told him, yeah, I did it, and I did it pretty much out of self-defense. And asking the cops, hey, do you think this is self-defense the way this happened? You know, well, in my opinion, yes, it is. In my opinion, it is self-defense, because the boy put his hands on him. No matter how you know what I'm saying, the boy Austin put his hands on him. What gave him the right to be that authoritative, to be pulling somebody up out of a seat, putting your hands on them like that, aggressively, and approaching them aggressively, trying to get them to move? I mean, like, come on, that's not your job. You know, and it goes deeper with that. But I feel like this is a stand your ground case. I feel like this is a stand your ground case. Because, let's get to this real quick. We're gonna bust this down real quick, man. We're gonna bust this down real quick. Real quick. So, what is stand your ground? And does this match up with what he dealt with? In Texas, the stand your ground law, codified in Texas Penal Code Section 9.31, allows individuals to use force, including deadly force, to defend themselves or others if they reasonably believe it's immediately necessary to prevent imminent harm, and they have the right to be present at the location. So, okay, so that sounds pretty much like what it was to me. But I guess what people try to say is, oh, he shouldn't have brought a knife. What is he doing with a knife at school, right? Well, let's be honest here. In Texas, everybody, let's be honest, everybody, but especially these white people, they carry knives and guns to work, to schools, the grocery stores, gas, they carry them everywhere. And let's be honest, plenty of people carry a weapon just in case. Just in case. Now, let's be honest. If Karmello hadn't reacted the way he reacted, who knows how far Austin would have taken things, because he had already grabbed him. What was he going to do? What was he trying to do? I mean, we don't know how far this would have went if Austin would have taken advantage of it, which Karmello didn't give him the chance to do so. You see what I'm saying? And so you have a lot of people in outrage. Oh, it's murder. Oh, he should get life. He should get life. And that's white people saying that, of course. They're going to be biased because, let's be honest, if you ask me, it's the parents' fault. White people the way white people teach their kids. White people embed racism into their kids. How you've seen videos? I've seen the videos of kids, almost pretty much out of toddler stages, already knowing what the N-word is, and knowing who the N-word is directed towards. It's like, and it's amazing. Like, what do these white people tell their kids? Because they're not telling them to treat everybody equally and treat everyone with respect. No, white kids already know. They already have an idea that they're supposed to feel better or a bigger superior to black people. And you can tell by their interactions with them. White people tell their kids something when they're small because they already know what the N-word and who it's for. I'm telling you, I've seen it too many times. I think we've all seen it too many times to know that white people teach their kids racism. They carry it on. What racism for white people is like a tradition. You pass on the family tradition, don't you? And that's just, and they don't, there is no generation of white kids who that racism, that their parents don't embed racism into them. It's like, for white people, racism is important to pass on to the children so they know how to feel superior and to act superior to a certain group. You know what I'm saying? It's embedded into them to keep the so-called white power. What do you think gave Austin the juice in behind him to go mess with this black kid and telling him to get up and out the seat? What do you think? What he's learned, he feels and he thinks or thought that he's superior. He's supposed to make this dude do what he want him to do. Tell him he's wrong and make him do what he wanted to do, even though he didn't even run track. The white boy, the Austin dude, didn't even run track. But he's carrying on the tradition that his parents teach him to be and try to act superior over black people, because that's just what he tried to do. And the thing is, he could have said what he said, but he didn't have to put his hands on him, and that's where he messed up, because it's just a different day and time, man. And you don't do that. You just don't do that. I wouldn't have done it. They keep saying if the roles were reversed. Well, no. If the roles were reversed, it wouldn't have happened, because black people aren't just sitting up here looking around to police people and to be authoritative over silly stuff that we don't have no control over, like a tent or a seat at a track meet. He didn't even run track. That's the thing about it. He was just being a bully because he didn't run track. He didn't have no right, no business to go even. And if he had that much of a problem, all he had to do was just tell somebody, like, hey, and if they had a problem, well, then that's a different story. But, the way he did it was totally wrong. And it's due to privilege and the hate that these white parents teach the kids. That's where it comes from. And now, look at the reactions, the consequences backfire, and now they're blaming the black kid and not even, taking into consideration what the white boy did first. And now, they want his dude to be doing life and all that. No, I don't think he should get life. No. Now, let's talk about it. I don't necessarily think. No, I don't think he had to go as far as. Then again, heck, if that dude was pretty big, what was he supposed to do? I guess kick him in the nards, something like that, maybe. I mean, what was he supposed to do? Who knows what he had to do when the dude grabbed him? We should, I mean, who knows what he had to do. I wish there was some video. That if we could at least see the video, then we'll know how far things went. And who was, well, even the dude brother said that, hey, he approached the boy, he approached the guy, Karmello, and then once Karmello didn't get about the seat and told him, touch me, watch what happens, he had went to go touching him. You don't do that. Why would you do that? He already warned you, don't mess with me, leave me alone. But you know how white people are. They looking they itching to be a victim, for something against a black person because they know all the wrong that they have done and all the way everyone looks at them in America for the evil they have done. So they try to look at anything to say, oh, we're the victim and look at those black people. They're harming, anyway. Then you got some talking about we're getting tired of this. Tired of what? What are you tired of? Oh, if we get tired, and what you gonna do? What you gonna do that you haven't already done? You know what I'm saying? It's not pumping any fear because we're already still pissed off on what you did anyway. So you really not saying, you really don't know how much you're not saying nothing by saying stuff like that. No. Then you got some coon blacks who's looking for a pat on the head from white people, especially on TikTok. It's coon central. Like, you get so many people on there, the black people. Then a lot of them be foreigners. It's a mess. The TikTok is a mess. It's full of coon. But then you got some solid ones too. And one thing I say this, then you got white people say, oh, they're taking up for a murderer. No, we just know how things are, and from the way it was, the situation went down, he defended himself. He didn't have to, he didn't know it was going to murk him. He didn't know it was going to, unalive him, but he defended himself. My thing is too, they say, oh, if the roles were reversed. Oh, well, yeah, if the roles were reversed, the white boy would still be out and about. And they say, oh, why? It ain't no rioting and all that. That's the thing about it. See, if the white boy had done the stabbing, he would have still been out. And people would have been talking, oh, we need more information before they arrested him. They ASAP arrested this dude, already gave him $1 million bond. Whereas if it was the white dude, people would have had to black people would have had to literally had to get out there and raise hell for them to even arrest the boy. And then, if they would arrest him, they had to give him a light bond. They had to give him a light bond. You know what I'm saying? And they've already set a GoFundMe for the boy. What's crazy about this is, so far what I've seen and heard, that there's a GoFundMe for Karmello that's raised about 30 something to 40 grand. There's a GoFundMe for the boy Austin Metcalf, and it's already at 250K or more. And that's the thing about it. See, white people throw their money around in all these cases because even when the murderer is white and he's clearly in the wrong, they don't care. They back him anyway. But then when we back the black dude for standing his ground, self-defense, they act like we're wrong. Even when the white person is in the wrong, they'll get behind him anyway, just because they killed a black person, right or wrong. Just because they killed a black person, white people get behind that white person. They put GoFundMe in there, GoFundMe pages and everything for the white people, and they raise the money. That's the thing, man, because you know how it is. White people, they got inheritance, slave money that they stole, just land. They just done us wrong, right? So they could throw all their money around. So what I'm trying to say is, what it would take for Karmello to get out on a $1 million bond is $100K. White people have already raised. They've raised Karmello Anthony's bond twice. Basically, what I'm saying is, with the money they raised for McAfee, they've already raised that would have already been Karmello's bond money. But you know, That's the thing about it. When it's black, we could do it, but it's gonna take a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take a minute to get there. You know, because it's good that it's raised what it has raised, but you see, the evil people, man, they just, you know, and that's the thing about it. When the person is right or wrong, you know, they'll still, you know, put a GoFundMe up and raise all kind of crazy money to protect that guy, to protect the white person, no matter what. You know, in this plenty of situations of Zimmerman, the Derek Chauvin guy, all these people, the people in the Tamir Rice cases, like they justify every time a black person was killed by a white person. White people always justify it, and they always raise GoFundMe for the people who are accused. They always do it. Raise good money for them too. You know what I'm saying? But this is so you see. I mean, this is like that's the thing about it. White people, they got the money. They got the money and the privilege. You know, but so it upsets them when the privilege doesn't work, because that's one thing about it. You can have the money and the privilege, but with the way life works, you know, your privilege isn't going to help you when it comes to God and the way things work, you know, the way things work with life. You know, that only goes so far, and they can't fathom it. They hate it. They can't stand it. Yes, the white boy was trying to punk him, trying to bully him, hurt him, harm him, all that kind of stuff. And the black boy wasn't standing for it, and he stood up for himself. And I say rightfully so. This is self-defense. This is stand your ground, in my opinion. Now let's watch, you know, how these other people going to get to changing, moving things around. Changing the goal, moving the goalposts. Oh no, it wasn't self-defense because, and you know, like I say, people they try to fight the argument. Oh, what was he doing with a knife at school? True, but hell, let's be honest. People carry weapons at all times, just in case, whether it's pepper spray or whatever it is. You know, I mean, people carry guns in case, just in case, because you know, you don't know, you don't expect it. You know, but just in case, and that's what he had. Something with him just in case. You know, and yeah, so this is where we at with it, man. This is where we at with it, man. Of course, you got the white people trying to demonize them, you know, and nah, I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like, you know, now, condolences to, you know, the guy's family, Austin and all that. You know, a life has been lost. That's not a good thing, but it's almost if a guy, you know, is going to go harm somebody, but he get harmed instead. It's like, dude, your mind was in the wrong spot. Your mind was in the wrong place when you were going to do what you were trying to do anyway, man. You didn't have, you know, you shouldn't have done that. Your mind was already in a negative place when you were going to approach him. And, you know, it just, rightfully so, he wasn't trying to let you, you know, he wasn't trying to let you harm him like you were trying to do. You know, you saw this black kid up there. You knew that you wanted trouble when you started heading this direction. You know, because you didn't even run track. That, you know, come on. I mean, and so, but I go, you know, in this case here, I feel like I stand with Karmello on this one. I ain't gonna lie. You know, now, on the other hand, he's already in custody, and you know, let's be honest here. The people that he's in custody with, most likely white, angry. You know, they're the people who shouldn't even really be cops. Where he's at, I'm pretty, you know, a lot of these white people really don't really need to be cops because their mind, you know, we already have to worry about, that's the thing about it as white, you know, with white people. We already got to worry about our well-being in their hands anyway. And they don't mean any good. They don't mean us any good. So, if we don't pay close attention, they will try to. Ain't no telling what they'll you know. Ain't no telling. They'll give him a give him a unfair trial. You know, unfair sentencing, all this kind of stuff. Like some people say, like he shouldn't really even be in jail right now because it's self-defense, and they know they're wrong for having him in jail. And the only reason why he's in jail is because he's black, and that's what they're looking at there. Whoever they like, them people, those aren't the jailhouse or wherever he's at under the supervision of all them white people that's probably around there. Don't need to be there because they're biased and racist anyway. Like I say, we have to worry about our well-being with these people too much out of their hatred that they're taught and raised around and born with. We got to worry about them having our best interest with health care. And that's a shame. But that's how deep their hate is. To mistreat you and barely do what they're supposed to do to make sure you're 100%, right? Dentists, dental care, law enforcement, just anything where some of them over our well-being, you know, or we dependent on them to do right and treat us like humans and equally unfair. That's not white people. And a lot of these white people have evil mindsets and they're holding important positions. We're seeing too much of it now, you know. I mean, like I say, a lot of these white people don't need to be in law enforcement, in my opinion, you know. I mean, but, you know, but this, like I said, this is where we at with it, man. This is where we at with it, man. Basically, the black boy defended himself against a white boy who was trying to harm him. You know, trying to bully him, harm him. The white boy assaulted him, put his hands on him, grabbed him. How do you just grab somebody out they see like that? Like, dude. And, you know, he was looking for trouble and he found it. Let's be honest. He was looking for trouble and he found it. And no, it's not a good thing, but this should teach people. It should, but you know, white people, they think they're superior anyway, or they don't know. You're gonna have another thing coming, man. But this should better tell your kids, don't put your hands on people. All that being superior, somebody say black and all, yeah, buddy. Don't put your hands on people, man. Teach your kids hate all you want. Teach them to hate all you want. That was taught to you. Yeah, teach your kids that. And you see what's happening. This is what's happening, yeah. So, like I say, hey, get your minds right. That's what you better do. But I stand with Karmello. He defended himself against a person who was just taught wrong, who was brought up wrong. Yeah, his father sounds cool, but all white people know how to sound cool and fake the funk. That's they're masterminds at faking the funk. I ain't trying to hear all that. You know what that boy was taught in his home. That's why he approached him like that. Ain't nobody else walking around causing trouble. So yeah, it was something wrong with the way his parents taught him, is what I say. I blame them. You know, I blame them for teaching all that hate, putting guns in their hands, talking about hunting all the time, and man, y'all know what y'all on. But yeah, well, hey, keep playing. It's no more games. You see it. I mean, but salute, you know what I'm saying, to this man Karmello for standing up for himself. You know, condolences to the family for any loss, but he was in the wrong. He could have walked away. He didn't have to take it that far to talking about putting hands on somebody over a seat that he doesn't own. I mean, come on. But anyway, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Of course, you're going to get white people or whoever that's going, oh, this is me, whatever. All the stuff y'all done and laughed and teased people about the Trayvon situation with George Zimmerman. White people to this day is still mock Trayvon Martin. They mock them all because they know they were wrongfully killed. But this person here defended himself. He got, you know, so it will, you know. Yeah, he was the threat. He was the threat. And according to Stand Your Ground, I'm going to read that one more time. Okay. So stand your ground allows individuals to use force, including deadly force, to defend themselves or others if they feel reasonable if they reasonably believe it's immediately necessary to prevent imminent harm. Who knows what that white boy was going to try to do? He 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 stood his ground. That's what he did. He stood his ground and neutralized the threat. Got the threat off of him. I mean, that's just what it is, man. White people, hey, yeah, man, cut all that out. Cut all that racism out. That's just what it is. Point blank period. Cut it out. Nobody's defending a murderer. We're defending someone who stood his ground. But of course, to you guys, and you know how you really feel, that, oh, stand your ground is only supposed to work for white people when we feel threatened by black people. Or if we want to just say that we felt threatened by black people. You know, that's how crooked they are. They full of it. Y'all are full of it, and y'all know it, man. And we just on to you, and we ain't playing your games. That's all. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, though, about this, man. Another one over here, Game Chopping TV. Tap in, like, comment, and subscribe, because we chopping this game over here, man.